This is my VISEART eyeshadow palette collection. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Welcome to Eyeshadow Palette Month. This is going to be video number 2 in Eyeshadow Palette Month, which is where I talk about nothing but eyeshadow and eyeshadow palettes every single day in the month of August. So I hope you're here for it. And I thought, but what better video to film this month than some insights into my eyeshadow palette collection. You're going to see the full collection towards the end of the month, but I have quite a few VISEART palettes, and I was like, since I have so many, maybe I should award them a little bit more space here on the channel and give you a little bit more of a closer up look to all of these VISEART palettes. Because this, I mean, it's gotten a little out of hand. It doesn't even fit into the frame. That's how many of these I have. And that's after decluttering some of these in the past. Yeah. Now, we all know that I do have quite a few of these that are favorites. Do you need this many VISEART palettes? No. But I try these for my channel, and whenever there's like a sale, I buy the ones that appeal to me, and I will sort of talk to you about the pros and cons of each one. Some of these fit within like a little subcategory, so that's how I want to organize the video, is to sort of show you the color stories that are closest together. So there are a couple of palettes that have Violetta in their name. There are a couple of palettes that have Leela's in their name. There are a couple of palettes that have Charmeuse or Serinuse in the name. Those I want to sort of compare and contrast in this video to give you as much information as possible about what might be right for you, and give you an overview that way. So this is not a ranking. My favorite VISEART palette, we all know. It's still, till this day, this one. I don't think they still do this packaging, but this is the Violetta Étendu. If I had to pick one, it would be this, just so you know. Alright, so before we get to the little families and the comparisons where I have like several palettes that have something similar to the name, I have a couple that don't have that same sort of vibe because the name doesn't really match with anything else. And still in here, I feel there is a comparison to make, but I'll first go over the sort of odd ones out. I have one of their Petit Fours here. This is the Violetta. That I'm not sure you can still get this, but this is actually quite unique for VISEART. They don't tend to do things that are this deep and that are like this more unique. There is a duochrome in here. They've started to do more duochromes now, but this definitely didn't used to work in the like history of the brand. And as I'm talking about each palette, I'll insert some swatches as well, if I can find them, because some of these I've had for a while, and only in the past couple of years I've been saving all of my swatches for every single palette, so I can insert them into videos. So I'll see if I can find everything so you can have a look at some swatches here as well. But this is really pretty. It's a little bit different, like I said. It's darker, it's grungier than what we normally get with VISEART, and that's why I like this. That's why it has merit in my makeup collection. Do I wear this a whole lot? No, I don't. And I have too many eyeshadows to begin with. Like, if you look at my eyeshadow palette collection, you know. So it's very difficult for me to actually hit pan on anything to begin with. So that's not going to happen anytime soon with that. I don't have too many all matte eyeshadow palettes because I'm not a matte type of person. I prefer a shimmer over a matte. I like to think of mattes as building blocks for my eyeshadow palettes, but it's good to have something. Just in case you don't find it elsewhere, I like to have one dedicated eyeshadow palette in my makeup collection. That's for the mattes, and I decided to make it VISEART because they make my favorite formula, at least one of my favorite formulas. I think that's a video I want to do this month as well, all about my favorite eyeshadow formulas, but this is why I have so many VISEART palettes. This is one of my favorite formulas that exists, so that's why. But this is the Petit Matte Cool Originals, so they do several versions of this. There's a bigger version, there's also another cool mattes, Petit Cool mattes, which I didn't like as much. I like this one better because I have more variety in these shades. There are some brown tones in here, gray tones, taupey things, a purple, a blue, and then there's like a matte white and sort of like a charcoal-y sort of black. I like this a lot. This works really well for me, and it sort of gives me all of the options of a matte that I would personally need if it was missing in another palette. So that's sort of why I have this one. And then I also have their old brown palette. I don't know why, but this gets very fingerprinty very easily. This is the Praline Étendu, and did I need an old brown eyeshadow palette? No. This is the newer style packaging, by the way. You'll see I have different types of packaging from VISEART. But here we have the Praline, which is essentially 12 shades of brown, which if you love browns and you look like very neutrally things, VISEART is going to be a great brand for you to begin with, but this is their all brown palette, and nothing revolutionary here color story wise, but I still love this one till this day. If you want something a little bit more rosy, then they have you there as well. This is again that newer style packaging. We have the Reveries Étendu and the Midsummer Lumiere Étendu. I believe this is also called the Paris Reverie originally. I actually had the 8-pan version of the Midsummer in the past, and then I think Esther had an extra one of these, and that's why she sent me that one. This one I actually put in a giveaway because they sent me an extra one because one of my shades came broken, but I was able to repress it. So this is the Reverie Étendu. Really pretty. It's like a warmer rosy tone vibe. This is the shade that came broken. I think you can see that's still a little fragile till this day, but it does repress quite nicely. And then you just have some really dusty, lovely purples on this side, which is what I wanted to have. Like, that's why I wanted to own the palette. But you also get this pretty strong peach in here. So this is a really nice, more muted color story. But in my brain, this fits more like a warmer, rosy tone, like the Midsummer, than some of the other things I have to show you. But VISEART tends to do a mix of both warmer and cooler tones in every palette they do. They never exclusively do an all warm or an all cool palette. Here's the Midsummer, which is really pretty as well. My favorite shade in the palette has always been this one here. Even when they did it as an 8-pan, this shade was already there. It's one of those like pink to blue duochrome kind of things. And I did stick my nail in there when I swatched it. So I do have pictures actually of it being pristine, and then I closed it up after taking pictures and I stuck my nail in. It was such a shame. But yeah, this has a lot of like warmer rosy vibes. It's really pretty. It's got quite a few light shades. You're going to see, if you have quite a few of these VISEART palettes, which is why I don't recommend owning this many. If you're just a regular makeup consumer, you're going to get a lot of beige shades. Like the shades that are here at the top of this palette, like on the lids, you're not going to really see much of a difference between all 4 of those. Like one of them is just shimmer. That's the only difference there. But VISEART does this a lot. They give a lot of light shades in their palettes. So I'm not sure if the brand is actually really good for you if you have a very deep skin tone, but for my fair skin tone, it works really well. So that's sort of like the one-offs. Then I still actually have one of the 8-pans in my collection. This is something I'm going to have to retire because they've changed this palette now to a 12-pan. This is the original Paris Étoile with the very beautiful Parisian skyline on the back. They also did a London and a San Francisco version for this, and then the line stopped, which I don't really understand. The other 2 are in my makeup memory box because of the fun packaging, and this is going to have a similar fate. I just know it. This is actually really pretty, but it's quite dark for my complexion. You do get some lighter shades in here. There's a beautiful taupe, a nice teal, and then some like deeper plums and grays, which is lovely. But what they've done in this updated version, I'll hold them up side by side in a second. This is now called the Paris Nuit Étoile, and there's just lighter shades. Especially in like the more like transition-y area, you still have that deeper purple, you still have the deeper gray tones, and you still have this really beautiful like duochrome-y sort of situation here now too. The teal is still there, and then you get a lot of like lighter shades to play with, which is what I actually like. And I think that beautiful taupe that we got in here is also still in here. So here is the old palette. I now see you don't really get that matte. The dark gray matte has been changed. No, it's not. That's still here. I'm making things up. But this looks a little bit more brown than a gray. Do you see that? There are slight differences in some of these undertones, but I still like this. I think this is really beautiful. There are some additional shimmers in here, which I like. I mean, the original palette had 4. You now get an extra shimmer, and then just a whole bunch of these like lighter mattes at the top that make it a lot more wearable and workable for me personally. So this is a really wonderful thing. I think they did a good job there. That means I can retire the small guy. I don't think that's still for sale. I used to also have one of the bigger ones that have the plastic covers. That's how the brand got started, but that was a Sultry, I think it's called, or Sultry Muse, something along those lines, and I didn't like the fact that it was the same sort of level of shimmer in every single shade, but beautiful undertones for sure. Let's talk about my favorite little family, and I think they are actually doing another one of these now. But this is the little palettes family that has the Violette shades in. So this was the first one. This is Violette Étendu. Then we got the Violette Vespertine. And then we got the Violette Nocturne. And they now do another one that I feel is like a rendition of this, but a little bit more toned down. So I already mentioned that the Violette Étendu is one of my favorite palettes from VISEART, if not my favorite. You get those brighter pops of like cooler tone purples and really pretty cooler toned like mauvey sort of neutrals that work really well with the purple tone. So I've always loved this. And they've kind of started doing like more muted, toned down versions of this. So here is the Vespertine, Violette Vespertine, which it's just a little moodier, a little murkier. It's a little bit more toned down compared to the first one. And then the next one that they did, of course, this has the weird packaging, which is annoying. And then a little bit later, they did the Violette Nocturne. So you can see that these are actually very similar coated. And the one they do now has some of the brightness that the Violette Étendu has. I'm not sure if I can hold up all three at the same time. I don't think so, because then these will just break and I don't want to damage these. But these, I think, are very similar. You really don't need both. I would say that this one is a little bit murkier, a little bit more neutral, warmer leaning. And this is a little softer, a little bit more fair skin friendly. And I'll make sure to hold both of them side by side with the original so you can see that this is far brighter, which is why I think there is merit in that newer launch that they did, and that is on my wish list to hopefully get in the Black Friday sales this year. Again, do I need it? No. Am I trying it for the channel? 100% yes. So here you can see how more muted down this is and how much warmer toned this is compared to the original. So I like all three of these. I do remember thinking when I tried this, I tried it together with another palette I'm still showing you. And I like this one less than the other one, which I hadn't expected. I think of these newer versions, the Nocturne I like better than I do the Vespertine, just saying. But like I said, you don't need all three. I have two of the Serinuse ones. This was actually the one that I preferred over the Violette Vespertine. So there's the Serinuse Nocturne, which came later, and we have the Serinuse Étendu, which is really pretty. This has a little bit more of a unique color story. It's very sort of neutral, but with a twist. We get a nice little duochrome moment in here. There's some like taupey gray things in here. I love these two browns. Overall, this is quite a cool tone palette for VISEART's standards, which is probably why I like it so much. This is the only thing you get that is warm, and everything else is a little bit more cool tone leaning, and then you get this really stunning dark green that reminds me of a dark green that I used to have in my Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism palette called Osiris. And then the Nocturne is, again, a similar vein. It's a little bit more rosy, I feel, and then it has greens. These three look green in the pan. On me, they look more gold. So they're very muted gray tone, or green tones, you should say. Again, I think I like this Serinuse Étendu a little bit better than the other one. But these are really nicely muted, sort of like neutral palettes with a pop of something. This has something green, like I said, put that in between quotation marks. Again, it's got a really nice taupe. That's another reason why I like VISEART, because they do so many really good taupe shades, and I love a taupe. We all know that. But this one I think is my favorite of the two. You get something special, you get something deep to play with, really pretty. There's a good crease shade. It's got a lot going for it. So this is another one I really like. I think they will do like another Serinuse edition towards the end of the year. I'm expecting them to do that. Another really good neutral palette, and like my second favorite palette, is actually the original Cashmere. I have it in this really fun sort of fall-esque color story, and then they came out a little bit later with the Cashmere Charmeuse. I remember liking that one better than I did another palette that I've tried. And here we have the original Cashmere. It's got some warmth, it's got cool tones, it's got rosy tones, and really good neutrals, all in 12 pans. And one thing that I haven't talked about yet with any of these VISEART palettes, but it's how easy they are to use. Because even though you get different undertones, they still all go together, and they blend together so nicely. So here's this Charmeuse, which is, again, a little bit more muted. I believe this came out together with the Violette Vespertine. Those were released at the same time, and I like this one better than I did the Violette Vespertine. This is, again, that moody, very muted color story. Again, it's got a nice little duochrome moment in here. That's really pretty. I like this shade as well. It's this like almost Beetle-esque, but not super duochrome heavy. And then if you hold these together, you'll see probably why I like both of these. I feel these are the most similar out of everything that they have. Again, with all of these VISEART palettes, I feel they are very similar very often. So again, you don't need both. You really have to pick and choose what you like between these. If you want really good neutrals, I would go with this. If you just want it to be neutrals, if you don't want it there to be pops of color, the original Serinuse is the best one for that. Or maybe the Praline if you just want browns. That one, the Serinuse, is going to give you different undertones, a little bit more so than the Praline does. And then finally, we have the little Leela series. So I've got two of the Petit Four, the original Leelas and the Leela 2, and then we have the Leela's Lumiere Étendu. And I actually feel that this palette is a combination of these two. So I didn't need this, but I wanted to see how similar they were. I think VISEART is just trying to turn everything into a 12 pan now. This is the original Leela's. And this is the Petit Four Leela 2. So the first one is a little bit more taupey neutral, and this is a little bit more rosy mauve toned with like a pop of peach. Again, I don't think I can show you all three in like holding them up at the same time. But then the big palette looks like this. And I feel like some of these shimmers are in here. You can see like that silver and like the deeper tone is in here. You can see that like lighter, like beigey taupe and that more pinky tone taupe is like right here in the corner. So those are there. And then if I take out the other one, then you can see that it also has this like pinky tone and that like maybe it's not as plum as this is. Like this has a true plum in, and this one, like this is the closest thing here, but that's still pretty brown. I do like that this has a darker brown in and not like a black or anything. And then again, it has that deeper sort of like shimmering shade that it has. That's like a combination of what's in these two palettes. So it's not 100% like the same. Like, do you see there's definitely overlap with these things. So if you already own these 4 pans, then maybe don't buy the 12 pan, or if you already have the 12 pan, you really don't need the 4 pans either. I still like the 4 pans. They're very easy to like throw into a makeup bag if you're going somewhere. This I didn't like as much as I had expected, because I love the 2 4 pans so much. I had really expected to love this hard. And I believe this one came out together with the Serinuse, I believe. I like that one better in the end. So this is probably not going to get a lot of use, especially, or like only when I'm filming videos perhaps, but this is just one of those things where you're like, it looks like, this is why it's sometimes so difficult to buy things online, because you will look at things and go like, oh, that's going to be perfect for me, and then you try it and you're like, nah, maybe not quite. You know what I mean? But that's it. Those are the VISEART eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to share with you today. Thanks so much for being here and joining me for Eyeshadow Palette Month, because we are going to be chatting about eyeshadows and everything eyeshadow palette related throughout the month. We're doing daily videos. I'm going to show you my full eyeshadow palette collection as well at the end. So if you want to stay tuned for all of that goodness, then I hope you'd like to stay tuned for more. And don't forget to enter the giveaway. I posted about that the other day as well. So thanks so much for being here, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye.